Oh wait, oh we're rolling. Okay. The World in Lights Cinematography Universe. Take a look. Joel and Danny, you are here at the Goose, and you are wearing multiple musical hats over the next few days. So tell us about what you're doing here.
You take it.
Well, it kind of, I feel like it kind of sums up who we are. We're kind of musical chameleons. We just kind of do whatever needs to be done. So like, she's got, even in our own artistry, she's got a pop project. I've got a country project. We do sort of a folk Americana thing together, and then we're both worship leaders. So at my church, I'll often open up with like a contemporary song, then I'll do a hymn, and then I'll play the organ for the closing hymn. It's just
that was we'll CGI him out later, so don't worry about it.
But yeah, we're just game for whatever.
We are professional space holders.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holding space for different people at different times. So it's cool to be able to have multiple hats, so that we can, do that.
And so you're doing your own World in Lights set, and then you're also you're in the house band as well while you're here.
Yeah.
And how is that? I don't know. How does that feed you? Does it feed you in different ways, like being part of the band as opposed to doing your own originals?
Yes, the pressure is off in a lot of ways for me. I'm really bad with lyrics. I'm really bad with remembering melodies and stuff. But I'll fake it till I make it for the most part. So when I don't have to like lead a bunch of stuff or remember a bunch of words and kind of just fall into a groove, I thrive in that space.
That's true.
I like to sing too, but I like to I'm a supporter for sure.
Okay. Well, like this morning we did kind of a throwback Southern gospel set, and that's like, it's a totally different vibe. Like, that's not Lady Gaga covers, and it's also not doing my own stuff, but it scratches an itch of like, there's something magical about getting a bunch of people together and singing old Gaither tunes we all grew up with, It's
Right.
like,
Yeah. Where's the overlap? Where are the lines? Are there lines between these different things? Right? No. Okay. Right. Moving on.
I don't think so.
Being
They
here.
all just kind of like lead into each other.
Yeah, well, I'm curious about that because you've got like the worship music stuff, you've got the duo stuff, and then there's playing in other bands, doing solo projects. Where does that all feed in? Is there a common thread? Is it just music is the common thread? Is it a creative urge? What is it that is there anything that ties it all together?
Like I said before, I think it's really about holding space for different ideas, thoughts, and feelings. And so when you're as a writer, if you're feeling in a dark space, you write some dark music. Right. When you're feeling in a thankful place, you write thankful music. Right. So you kind of just like adapt to each space. So I feel like that's probably the biggest overlap between all the different.
I think in the last few years we've kind of both experienced some artistic freedom. So we're both 33 in our late 20s.
I'm just kidding.
Early 20s, we kind of have evolved a lot. We've changed our minds about a lot of things. Wild Goose, we both came in 2019 for the first time, and even that was just like eye-opening in a lot of ways. And I've spent my 20s trying to write worship music. That was pretty much all I did, and I sucked at it. Any secular music I wrote, was always
Danny's like, no, honey, you were really good at it.
It was like coded, or I would always try to have like poetic about God, or spiritual, whatever. And a couple of years ago, I just started realizing, I don't need to do this. Like, if it comes out of me naturally, that's fine. But like, what if I just wrote what came to mind, and that seems like songwriting 101, but it took me 20 years of writing music to get to that point.
Yeah.
And one time I just wrote like a song that was kind of country-ish, and I was like, I'm really good at this. Like, I never would have thought. I'm from Washington State. I don't have an accent. But I was like, I wrote some song, and I was like, no, I can do the country vibe thing.
Keith Urban's an Australian. I mean,
yeah,
come on,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So I think it's a
That's
lot of.
true.
I think there's creative vibes. Same thing with you. You started writing out of this sort of dark space that you were in, an
That's
angsty
mainly
space.
what I write, though.
And you started, but you didn't used to write that way. And all of a sudden you're writing like, I think it's just a freedom that opened up for both of us in the last 4-5 years.
Yeah.
People like authenticity too.
Yeah.
I think you can kind of read it like when you don't pour yourself into something. I mean, for the most part, I think there's a lot of like art and work that goes into like knowing like what you need to give to certain people for specific genres if you're a writer.
Yeah.
Or, there's a space for it. But people really respond to authenticity and they feed off of it
Yeah.
and relate to it. So
We're kind of a smorgasbord of backgrounds too. Like she's mixed. She was raised by white parents,
true.
adopted. I was raised in a fundamentalist cult and came up through like we both kind of converged in the evangelical megachurch kind of world.
Right.
And so there's a lot of like competing priorities, competing angst in ourselves that we're just trying to flesh out. Going back to like Gaither days, that stuff I grew up on, and then in my 20s it was the modern worship movement. So all those things sort of inform who I am.
Right.
And even just growing up on a farm, I grew up on a farm and riding around listening to Toby Keith with my uncle in the car. It all kind of just.
To our country. I mean, the accent is just an affectation, really. Come on.
right. And I used to live in the Middle East, right next to a mosque.
Yeah.
So that definitely influenced the way I
Imagine why. Yeah.
feel and sing music too. So
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. I mean, Middle East is part of my background too, so I'm
Oh, yeah?
curious. Having lived in the Middle East, so I'm curious about your experience.
Where did you live in the Middle East?
I lived in the West Bank in a Palestinian
Oh
village.
wow! I lived in Bahrain on a tiny island, the teeny tiny island.
Yes.
So
Wow.
I
That's incredible.
I feel like that was probably one of the most shaping moments of my view of people, because the diversity in the school that I went to and the access to just like different groups of people
Yeah.
all in one room
Yeah.
for so many years, just it took all the whatever fear a lot of people have over here
Yeah.
away,
Yeah.
to a point where now I'm like, those are my people. Why are you messing with my people?
Yeah. I feel you there.
Like, why are you? Anyways,
Yeah.
that's for another day.
Yeah. Well, and also the way it affects his musicality. There's
Yeah.
a whole different kind of melodic sensibility in the
yes.
Middle East as well. So
A lot of swooping, and I feel like it's very guttural too in a lot of ways for me. How it translates for me.
yeah.
So I do.
If you're gonna say Habibi, you gotta dig deep down, right? For the Habibis, yeah.
It's so funny because it still comes out in the way we both write. She's got these just very soaring
Minor,
melodies that just kind of like.
Yeah.
And mine, you can hear that hymn country influence in me in everything I write. It's just there.
Yeah.
It's melodies,
Basic white boy. You need to get yourself a pumpkin spice latte.
which is why I married you.
Get yourself a pumpkin spice. Real nice. Living on your farm
You're
with
the
your tractor.
you're the pumpkin spice to my whole milk.
Aw, that's so sweet. Don't worry, we're also going to CGI out the background noise as well. So it's going to be just flawless.
It's gonna be so good.
Just Photoshop it.
Yeah, we'll Photoshop out the music, and then we're going to CGI out the guy that was running in the background.
Just fix it in post.
We're gonna
That's
put
what
it
I've learned.
Fix
You
it
just
in
always
post.
Fix it in
Fix
post.
it in post.
Whatever it is.
It's green everywhere. Isn't this
Camera work
basically a
is
built-in
easy.
green
This is a
screen?
built-in
Editing
green
is
screen.
easy. Easiest job ever.
As a producer, that's what the guy would say. So, we'll fix it in post. And
Oh,
they're like,
always.
okay. And then, they don't know if it's true.
It always makes me laugh when people say that. 'Cause I'm like, I know you're lying.
There will be no fixing it.
You're like, Zach, you can't fix that. I know.
So what other super deep questions you want to ask?
Oh, man. I think I've run out of stuff. So I appreciate y'all. And thanks for being here.
Yeah.